the trainers that used to teach us, they used to say a lot, ki, we are training you, we have experience, and still you are earning more than us. And then usually they were group, they were like, they used to do fun and everything, and they used to study as well, but not much, and they usually sat at the back, class में खाना खाना, कुछ भी करना सुनना नहीं. So I used to prefer that group. And dreams सबका होता है कि कभी बागड़ी होगी, बंगला होगा. And so in college, if I'm being honest, first 2 years I did not study. In third year, yeah, I started exploring, and in fourth year, I thought कि let's try that, and it हो क्या होते I just वो सब कुछ ही हो गया उधर. मजे में join किया, दोस्त ने कहा कर ले, and now those friends were saying कि हम देख हमारे कहने पे तू यहाँ चले गया. So I heard that a lot as well. My name is Rahul, and I've been born and brought up in Delhi. Initially, I lived in Rohini when I was very small, when I was a kid, but eventually I moved to Dwarka, and for the past 20 years I've been here. I did my schooling in Delhi, everything was fine, college was everything was fine. Usually I'm an open book, but yeah, I read a lot. Not your standard books or anything. I usually read a lot of web series, fictional and everything. Yeah, that is something that I usually don't tell anyone. My childhood was pretty fun. And school days were, I think, the best days in that case. So I was a backbencher, not a first bencher, never. And in backbencher, we always had the groups. Whenever I came into a class, whenever I just entered a new class, right, it's new batch, new and everything. So whenever I used to enter class, I used to spot certain groups everywhere. So one was those that always study. So I used to avoid them. Then there were a group, usually that was like couples group. They used to be 2-3 couples and additional hanger-ons, and usually I used to avoid them as well. And then usually they were group, they were like, they used to do fun and everything, and they used to study as well, but not much, and they usually sat at the back, class में खाना खाना, कुछ भी करना सुनना नहीं. So I used to prefer that group. So I used to belong to that group. पीछे बैठो अपने से खुश रहो, जो करना टीचर पढ़ाते रहे परेशान ना करो, अपने में रहो. So we had our own separate life in our classrooms. And dreams सबका होता है कि कभी बागड़ी होगी, बंगला होगा. Dream सबका तो यही रहता है. So in 10th I scored pretty good, and then we had a PTM before 11th कि ultimately what you have to do. Do you want to take science, commerce or what? So initially I was of the mind कि in my family everyone is from commerce. So I thought कि everyone has done commerce, at least I will not do commerce. I'll take humanities or science, whatever, but I will not do commerce. And humanities also was a stream that had just started in our school. So the teachers and everything was not good. So then I chose science. So the thing with this कि when you are in 11th, 12th, everyone knows कि IIT करना है. IIT के लिए आपको ट्यूशन्स होती हैं. ट्यूशन्स के लिए आपको टाइम निकालना होता है. तो आप कहते हैं कि यही कर लो, that's enough for you. But our teacher was a bit different. That is something that I did not expect. Usually they give you a question, you solve it, you don't know, they just tell you this is how you do it, and that's done. In college, usually I don't know if you are of this background, but there are two things that as a coder, something is noticed. Initially आपको ऐसे हिंदी बोली, आपने इंग्लिश सीखी, तो in a language if we learn, right, programming में क्या होता है, कुछ चीज़ें हर सब में common रहता है. There are few things that is there in every language, but it's just that how you use them. So मतलब कि if there are certain syntax that is different, so that you have to learn. But how to use them is something, if once you learn it, then you learn it for every language. So this syntax is something that they could learn, maybe just they can read a paper in 10 minutes, they'll remember it. But how to use them is something you need to learn once. So that I did in school, and people in college were not able to do it. In college, I thought that data science is something that was up and coming. Eventually, I just left it, but yeah. So initially I started what I wanted to do and how to do it, right? So I learned Python. It was pretty simple, anyone can learn it. So I started with that. And so in college, if I'm being honest, first 2 years I did not study. In third year, yeah, I started exploring, and in fourth year, I thought let's try that, and it हो क्या होते I just वो सब कुछ ही हो गया उधर. Usually in third, fourth years, there are a lot of hackathons that happen, right? So I did not participate much. So there was just one hackathon that came up, दोस्त ने कहा कर ले इसको. मैंने कहा यार ठीक है, I'll do it, not big deal. I just went there, I just filled up the form, and that's it. And then a date mail came कि it's on this day for 3 hours. When I got okay, these will be 3 questions, I'll solve them, and I just went with it. Then it cleared. And now when I saw this, that is something now कि मजे में join किया, दोस्त यहाँ कर ले, and now those friends were saying कि हम देख हमारे कहने पे तू यहाँ चले गया. So I heard that a lot as well. Through the hackathon also we did hackathon and we had interviews. So in interviews I cleared the interviews, and after that usually if you join Infosys you are a systems engineer, right? But for us since we had cleared the interviews, we were systems engineer specialist. So we had that extra specialist tag added to our branch, right? So how it helped us and what difference it made was usually in Infosys you are trained, right, for 3 months. So I think it's usually 4-5 months, but for us that training time was reduced because they assumed we know the basics and they didn't go with that. So for us it was a reduced training time. And the trainers that used to teach us, they used to say a lot, ki we are training you, we have experience and still you are earning more than us. So that was a difference. He said कि हम तुम्हें सिखा रहे हैं but तुम सजा ले रहे हो. So they used to say a lot. In Infosys, after training, after my placement, I started there. In Infosys, there's a role, I don't know if you know, but you have to give interviews as well inside Infosys to sort of get a project. So I did an interview and I started with Lab 42. So Lab 42 was a niche in Infosys. So how it started was that they wanted to make a product, but not only for the internal team, but they wanted to sell it as well. So usually in Infosys, either you work for a client or you work for internal products. So this was neither a client and this was neither internal. So it was that way also, it was something separate. So we built our internal tools and mostly they were used internally, we were selling them. So there I started with Schedulo part, and basically it was a small tool. We had a small team, and later on I was shifted to a Meridian, which was a bigger project as if we compare between them, right? So that was how I did. And the reason I left was because the project I was working on was actually made for lockdowns. So lockdown, everyone was working from home, right? So everything had shifted. So that's what actually our platform did. So it was like a Zoom call or something like that, but instead of being used daily, all the events that happened were being hosted through our platform. So the traffic was around 5,000-6,000, sometimes 50,000. Based on the client, traffic used to change. In Infosys, I was a main stack developer, and I was just looking to change my stack. So for frontend, I needed Angular, and for backend, I was using Node. And I just wanted I have done Angular enough, I have done Node enough. I'll do anything, I don't have any issues, but I just don't want to use them. So that was the main reason I was looking for other stacks. But usually that is a bit difficult because they prefer whatever stack they're hiring for, you have some experience. So that is the advantage I got. In Recro, when I interviewed, they just asked me the basics and they said once I am selected, I can go with any stack. So this is something that that's why I preferred Recro. So in Recro, I have been working with AiFluence, and that is the only client I've worked with. So since the beginning only, I started with AiFluence, and yeah. So my experience with AiFluence has been wonderful. And it's also a small team, but the work here is very interesting. Yeah, AiFluence I usually say that the way our platform is, we need to integrate multiple different things into our platform. So because of that, there are a lot of POCs that we do time to time. So I like those things, just Googling different stuff which can work and how we can integrate it, if it works fine for us or not. So this is something that I like. And here I get to do this a lot. So with Recro, initially I came through Recro to AiFluence, right? So with Recro, I have noticed that there are activities they host and there are events they host time to time. So sometimes I just came here, right? So if possible, I try to participate in it. But with Recro, I've noticed there's minimal interference. I'm working with AiFluence and I get to focus there. And as you know, there's a startup winter is going on. There's no money in the market, right? But being a part of Recro, I did not notice them. So I was not at all affected. That is something that I like. Ultimately, through Recro, they gave me a client. I am happy with the client. I'm working fine. There's no issues. And there's for work side, there's no interference. And yeah, and I've been otherwise, that's why I'm happy. Because I am getting to do what I want to do and I'm able to focus there. It's like कि आपने call किया, call उठाया, हाँ मेरी ये दिक्कत है, ठीक है, ठीक कर देंगे, and it was fixed. So it has been very smooth. सो मतलब कि बेयर मिनिमम जल्दी से काम हो गया, मतलब कि इससे ज़्यादा मेरे को क्या चाहिए. सो फ्रॉम रेक्रो नो आई हैव नॉट मतलब फेस एनी बायस. एवरीथिंग मतलब कि चल रहा है टू बी ऑनेस्ट कि मैंने तो उनसे कोई दिक्कत आई नहीं. सब चल ही रहा है. कोई इशू होता है बोलता हूँ एंड वो कर देते हैं. आई थिंक दिस इज़ हाउ इट शुड बी, राइट. कि उनसे भी ज़्यादा ना मेरे को कोई डिस्टर्बेंस आए, ना कुछ होता नहीं है. मतलब कि सब वहाँ से बोल रहा है, अपने क्लाइंट पे फोकस कर रहा हूँ. व्हेन आई जॉइन AiFluence there was a offset as well. After 3-4 months I also went there, and there was my colleague who was also from Recro. We went there, so there also it was like कि even though we are contracted, nothing was different for us.